So I got this comment on one of my house tour videos, and I'm not gonna lie, it triggered me a little bit. But it also made me realize that there is a fundamental misunderstanding when it comes to cheap houses in Sardinia, what they actually cost, and more importantly, why they're cheap in the first place. Because if you're looking at the price tag and that's all that is important to you, I think you're missing the point. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bianca, and a couple of years ago I moved from Australia to Sardinia. I bought a cheap house in a small town in the north of the island, and I've been making these videos and sharing my experiences with you ever since. Now recently I started showing some of the houses here in Novi that are for sale, and I plan to continue doing this. And this is not for business. Please keep that in mind. I am not a real estate agent. This is not about me selling houses here. This is about me giving you a picture of what life here is like. And many of you are watching my channel and are inquiring about what it would be like to do this for yourself. So I want to give a picture of what is possible. And listen, if you want to purchase one of the houses I show you one day, wonderful. If not, you just get an experience, you get to see what it's like, and you've got a better understanding of what this is all about. But of course, money is a complicated subject. It triggers a lot of people, creates a lot of reactions in people, and it doesn't matter whether I'm talking about a €1 house, a €30 house, a €100,000 house. When the conversation is about money, well, things can get a little emotional, and comments can reflect those emotions. But I will say, I think we are looking at this backwards. These houses here in Italy, whether it's Sardinia, mainland, or maybe even elsewhere in Europe, Portugal, France, they all have cheap little houses in small villages for sale. These are not here to give somebody from Australia or America or the UK their dream home for practically nothing. There's a much bigger reason why these properties are so cheap. Now, hopefully you've understood this by now, but if you haven't, just to clear it up, cheap doesn't mean finished. I think sometimes people hear €1 house for sale and they imagine this unbelievably cheap home, the dream life in beautiful Italy or France or wherever they want to go. But friends, a €1 house does not cost €1. First of all, there are the admin fees, which probably take it up to around 5K. Still incredibly cheap. But if you've watched my video about the €1 houses we have here, you will see that it is pretty much rubble. Even the 4 walls may not be standing. Probably the roof has caved in. It is absolutely, with 100% certainty, going to need significant renovations. Now, I would also say that a €20,000 house, a €30,000 house, a €40,000 house is also going to need renovations. You know this because you're watching my channel and you know that I paid around $30,000 for my house and it needs significant renovations. I did not buy this house knowing that $30,000 was all it was going to take. Of course, if you do want a move-in ready house, these houses do exist. And I showed you one just a few weeks back. They may need updating if you're not happy with the way that they are, but they are move-in ready. But of course, move-in ready is going to cost you more. Let's not be delulu about that. You can't expect to pay renovation project prices and get a beautiful move-in ready home. Cheap also does not mean free. It doesn't mean finished. It means relative to what you're actually buying. And if you've seen some of the comments from the video that I showed for the upstairs apartment, the one with the purchase price of 80K, you'll notice that people commented saying, this looks good, this is move-in ready. What I've shown you, which I think is really cool, is we've got an upstairs apartment, almost identical in layout to the downstairs apartment, that are completely the opposite and half the price. 80K, move-in ready, ground floor, 40K, renovation required. So this is the main point I'm making here, is that if you want to buy something that's move-in ready, you just have to pay the price for it. You can't expect or demand a $40,000 price for an $80,000 condition. Essentially, when buying a house, a cheap house, you are choosing what works for you and your budget. But one thing I want to add here is that the asking price is not necessarily what you'll end up paying. And this is something that many of you who are overseas and maybe haven't visited Italy before don't understand. And honestly, I didn't understand it either. You see the price tag and your brain automatically says, this is what I have to pay. But not necessarily. The property prices are negotiable here. You can absolutely make an offer. The seller can obviously accept it, reject it, counter it. You can walk away if you want. After I'd bought my house, I remember speaking to my friend and she asked how much I paid for the house, and I told her I paid 30K, and she was like, oh, if only I had have known you then, I would have told you you paid too much for the property. And you just don't know this until you know this, right? So I could have negotiated. I didn't think to negotiate because I'm coming from a world where properties are a whole lot more expensive. To me, I saw the price tag and I was like, damn, this is cheap. Had I known what I know now, I would have negotiated. And it's kind of funny because I come from a family where my father is a big barterer. So I'm surprised it didn't even cross my mind to do that, but such is life. Now, in the other part of the comment, this person highlighted how the property all up was going to cost around 100K. 40K for the property, around 60K for renovations, we're hitting around 100K, right? But remember, neither of those costs are necessarily the final number. So we don't actually know what a property like this is going to cost. Even if you have experience in construction, you don't know. You may be able to negotiate it down to like 20K. You don't know until you ask. And then of course, when it comes to renovations, you might find someone locally who doesn't charge nearly as much as what you can expect to pay in your own home country. You just don't know until you have that experience. And in my opinion, 100K is still extraordinary value. Now, I'm not saying that 100K is nothing. I mean, that's some significant dollars if you've got them in your bank. But there is a difference between 100K and a truly expensive property. Now, as you all know, I come from Australia. So obviously, wherever you come from, you're going to have your own mindset around the cost and value of property. To give you my perspective, I grew up in a small city, a regional town about 2 hours north of Melbourne. The town itself has around 32,000 people. I looked it up for the purpose of this video. I thought it was way bigger than that, but it has 32,000 people according to a fairly recent census. And I went to that main town for my education, for my sports, for everything. But I actually lived in a town around about 10 minutes drive from this main town. And that town itself, at the time, I believe it had around 5,000 people. Now it's around 8,000. And my cousin is actually a pretty great real estate agent there. And the median prices of the properties that he is selling is around about 460,000 Australian dollars. So that's roughly around 280,000 euros. And so I did a little bit of research and I was looking up these houses in the small town that I grew up in, the one that now has a population of 8K. And the houses that sold for that much really were ordinary Australian houses. Some of them were pretty dated, where in addition to spending that 450K price, you'd be moving in there thinking, okay, I need to pull up all the carpets and redo them. I need to redo the kitchen. The bathroom's gotta go. New everything, right? So that is the housing market that I come from, where the median cost of houses in a small town close to a small city, regional city, not anything like Melbourne, cost you almost $500,000. And that is not unusual. Now, there are some big differences. Of course, when you buy in Australia, you also get land. You get a front yard, you get a backyard, you've got fences around your house, you've got your own space. So these are completely different property markets. I am not even pretending that they can be compared. What I'm simply explaining is the financial reality that I'm used to, that I grew up with. And it's only got more and more and more and more expensive, and it continues to get more and more and more expensive. Most people in Australia cannot afford property, especially the young people. So unless they're inheriting something from their parents, or their parents are being a co-signer on a loan, but that price is first home buyer territory. It's what young people pay buying their first house. And if you want something new that nobody else has lived in before, you're looking way higher than that. But here in Sardinia, that kind of money opens up an entirely different universe. And as I said before, going into the purchase of my property, I never expected it to be 30K. I thought, okay, 30K is what's gonna buy me these 4 walls. Then to renovate could take me up to 100K. I have no idea. But I never expected 30K to be the final investment. But if your thought then becomes, but I can get a cheaper house somewhere else. Okay, great. But what do you actually want? Like, maybe there's a cheaper property somewhere else in Europe, somewhere else in Italy, somewhere else in Sardinia. But do you want to live there? Do you want your life to be there? Even if you're just buying a holiday house, do you want to have a holiday there? Does it have what you want? Does it feel the way you want it to feel? The cheapest house isn't automatically the best value. You could give me a house for free in a place where I have no desire to live, like Ireland. No offense, Ireland, but you're way too cold for me. And I wouldn't want it. But I want to come back to the point about why these properties are so cheap in the first place. And this also comes back to that person's comment of, how could anyone let an apartment fall into that state? I've had that thought here as well. But what I've observed and understood since living here is that these towns used to have more people. These houses used to be inhabited. They were lived in, they were cared for. And then, like it happens, younger generations leave. The opportunity's not here. I think it happens all over the world, actually, that people leave the smaller cities, the smaller towns, the villages, and they move to the big cities. And they do that because that's where the opportunity lies for them. That's where the jobs are. That's where the excitement is. That's where everything is. That's where the money is. I remember in China hearing this exact same story, that these little villages are just abandoned and only just old people are living there, and often young children as well, because the parents were so poor that they would move to the city, like Shanghai, where I was living, and the children would be raised by the grandparents in the village. The parents would make money, they would send the money back, and this was how they were living and supporting their family and supporting their children. Away from their children, not raising their children, but providing for them in that way. Now, it's different here. What's happening is that the younger generations are leaving, and they are going to Europe, or they're going to Italy, to the bigger cities, Milan or Roma. So then what happens? The older generations die. The properties are inherited. Oftentimes, multiple people inherit the properties, like these properties I've showed you. There is not one person that owns them. It's either 2 or 3 people that own them. And so in that situation, it's understandable. What do you do with a property where several people own it? How do you manage that? Who lives in it? Do you sell it? Do you split it up? Do you rent it out? Who manages it? So it makes sense why they end up sitting there with nobody living in them, nobody maintaining them, possibly nobody even agreeing on the cost for which they want to sell the property, which can hold up the sale itself. And then, are we going to put money into this property when nobody's living there just to maintain it? So the houses sit empty. 5 years, 10 years, 20, 40 years pass, they deteriorate. So what you're seeing in a dilapidated house has a story, has a reason, has that history behind it. It's not just that the people don't care about the house. It's a complex situation they find themselves in. So the €1 house scheme, that movement that was created many years ago, that people are still talking about, that come to Italy, buy a ridiculously cheap house, live the dream. This is all about repopulation and revitalization. Towns need people. They need residents, they need families, they need businesses, they need properties renewed. They need local spending, they need people paying for utilities, they need tradespeople getting work, they need people shopping, they need people participating in community life. So when someone buys and restores a cheap house here, there is a massive ripple effect, even if it's just one person. Obviously, the money goes to the seller. You've got money going to the geometra, an architect, a notaio, a notary, the plumbers, the electricians, the hardware store, the builders, furniture stores, local businesses. And then there's something less financial. There's a person living in that house. Another light comes on in a house that might have been dark for another 40 years. And so this is the thing I keep coming back to lately. It's not about the fucking house. But of course the house matters. People need somewhere to live. But if someone is moving across the world, it's not because they discovered 4 cheap walls. What are you actually trying to change? What are you unhappy with? Are you unhappy with your life? With the cost of living? With your job? With the pace of your life? The stress? The community or lack of community? The lack of nature? Do you feel trapped? Do you feel like you'll never get your head above water? Always stuck in debt? Never able to afford property? I definitely felt that way. Maybe you just feel like life isn't really yours and you're not living it the way you want to be living it. What are you actually searching for? Because this is why you're here, right? I mean, some people are living vicariously through me. But even if you're living vicariously through me and you have this dream and this wish of, oh, I wish I could do what she did, or I'm too old to do what she did. That's too hard. I can't do that because I'm on my own. I don't have the money. I could never do that. That's a much bigger question than could I buy that particular 40,000 euro house and renovate it? That's just a tiny piece of the puzzle. So my friends, choose the place first. Think about the house second. That's what I've learned. And I was just super blessed to find this town because I was all about the house. It's not about the house. I said it in my last video, the house is where you sleep. The town is where you live. Choose based on the location and what you want. I was really lucky to get such a place with community and neighbors and friendships and my gym and be able to set myself up and have a routine and work remotely. It's kind of a dream in all of those ways. But that's what you're buying when you buy a house, whether it's a cheap one or a more expensive one. So if someone finds a 1 euro house in Italy, my advice is not to buy it. Not that you shouldn't buy it. My next question is, where is it? What's the town like? Do you think you're going to actually enjoy living there? Can you imagine your life there? Does it have the community you're looking for? And only then, what house works for me? Now there was a little piece of that comment that I haven't addressed as well, that my ego just wants to address. And that's the part of the comment that did actually make me laugh. And that was that showing these houses could damage my reputation. What the fuck even is a reputation other than an illusion that we create in our mind? Just to reiterate, I am not a real estate agent. I am not here to sell houses. I'm not telling you to buy these properties. I'm showing you what exists. Some houses will be lovely, some houses will not. Some houses will require your imagination. Some will be great value, some will not appeal to you at all. That's the reality. I'm not really interested in just showing you beautiful things. And I'm not concerned about how it reflects on me. If I built this channel around what I thought people would think of me, starting a YouTube channel and putting my life online was probably not the best idea to begin with. Of course I care sometimes, I'm human too, but there's a difference between caring about someone else's opinions of me and the videos that I post and making my life choices based on someone else's opinions. So friends, the next time you see a €1 house or a €40,000 house, don't just ask yourself, how much is it going to cost me? Ask yourself, what am I actually trying to build? Because if all you want is the cheapest property, maybe Sardinia isn't the answer. Maybe Italy isn't the answer. Maybe somewhere else is. But if you're actually looking for a different way of life, one that you cannot find where you are right now, the house is only one part of that big decision. Choose the life first, my friends. The house will find you and you will figure it out. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for being here, listening to my slightly fired up thoughts today. I'd actually really love to hear what you think about this one. Even if you completely disagree with me, let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to follow along with my life here in Sardinia, don't forget to subscribe. And of course, like the video as well. Share it with people if you think they would appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Ciao for now.